we have a docs caucus, the physicians who serve in the House, and they've got a menu of options about this thick. And I think this is part of it, because if you take government bureaucrats out of the healthcare equation and you have doctor-patient relationship, it's better for everybody, more efficient, more effective. That's the free market. Trump's going to be for the free market. You heard a little sample of that last night. We want to take a blowtorch to the regulatory state, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, these agencies have been weaponized against the people, and
Yeah.
it's crushing the free market. It's like a boot on the neck of job creators and entrepreneurs and risk takers. And so healthcare is one of the sectors, but we need this across the board, and Trump's going to go big. I mean, he's only going to have one more term, right? Can't run for re-election. And so he's going to be thinking about legacy, and we're going to fix all these things.
Republicans have been mad about the Affordable Care Act, which has come to be informally known as Obamacare, since the Obama administration. But for all of their complaints about it and their threats to dismantle and replace it, they have not once offered an actual replacement. But they love the fact that just the mention of Obama's name strikes fear into the hearts of Republican voters, even Republican voters who have Obamacare.
No Obamacare?
No Obama.
So that's back. Trump, who only ever has concepts and promises of plans, has been saying he was going to repeal and replace the ACA since 2015. While he was president, however, he did no such thing. Now he's campaigning on the same promise, and again, he has no proposed replacement. But you just saw House Speaker Mike Johnson telling a crowd in Pennsylvania that Trump is looking to make massive changes to healthcare in this country. He didn't say how he was planning to do this, but he did point out that Trump is interested in his own legacy, which makes sense. It would be more about his legacy and less about what is actually best for the American people. It must drive him crazy that Obama's name is now associated, for better or for worse, with major healthcare reform in this country even more than a decade later. Meanwhile, the Harris-Walz campaign has said that they're interested in protecting and expanding the ACA. The ACA isn't perfect. It wasn't perfect when it was first rolled out. There's plenty of room for improvement. Any Democrat will tell you that. Obama will tell you that himself. But it was an improvement from what we had before. Currently, a record 21.3 million Americans are on Obamacare, including millions of Trump voters. This is from a CNN segment from 2017, when Trump's major campaign promises were just to undo whatever Obama had done the previous 8 years.
You voted for Donald Trump, who promised to repeal something that you're very much benefiting from. Again, just how do you explain that to people?
I did what I thought was correct for the overall good of the country. I think economic strength cures a lot of things. People working, making decent money, that certainly helps out. I'd rather not need the subsidies. I'd rather be working.
But the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget suggests the opposite. They say fully repealing Obamacare would cost roughly $350 billion over 10 years and would also increase the number of uninsured by 23 million.
And some of the biggest beneficiaries of the ACA are red states.
If he does repeal Obamacare, as he's promised to do, what is that going to mean for you?
No insurance.
No insurance. That was a big problem for you before.
I wasn't happy about it.
Truth is, some of the states that most benefited from Obamacare had a majority who voted for Trump, like Rusco's home state of Florida. In fact, Florida has the highest percentage of enrollees in the nation. 1 in 10 Floridians under 65 signed on for health insurance through the Affordable Care Act.
And there are countless other man-on-the-street interviews of Trump supporters not even realizing that they're voting against something that they're actively benefiting from, where they didn't even realize that the Obamacare they hate so much is actually the same Affordable Care plan that they were enrolled in. At least the guy in the clip that you just saw was aware that he was voting against his own interests, at least as far as healthcare was concerned. But according to Speaker Johnson, the ACA is so crazy that it's almost beyond repair. It needs more than updates. It needs to be almost entirely rebuilt from scratch. He said, the ACA is so deeply ingrained, we need massive reform to make this work. And we got a lot of ideas on how to do that. What ideas? Nobody knows. It's a surprise. But again, it's already working for millions of Americans. And the idea of repealing or even reforming something without having anything to replace it with is insane. But Trump did do similar things throughout his one term as president. For example, he pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal, which was from the Obama administration. Also, in order for these promises to be fulfilled, not only would Trump have to win the presidency, but the Republicans would also have to win both the House and the Senate, and they're not projected to do so. But here's what the Democrats have had to say about all of this. The Harris campaign said Speaker Mike Johnson is making it clear if Donald Trump wins, he and his Project 2025 allies in Congress will make sure there is no Obamacare. That means higher healthcare costs for millions of families and ripping away protections from Americans with pre-existing conditions like diabetes, asthma, or cancer. And House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said this at a Union Hall in Michigan. The top Republican in the House said one of the first things they'll do is repeal and get rid of the Affordable Care Act as we know it. This is still on their mind. We know they'll do it because I'm convinced that if Roe v. Wade can fall, then anything can fall. Meanwhile, Speaker Johnson insists that he never said he wanted to completely repeal Obamacare and that is not Trump's current policy, even though it certainly was Trump's explicit goal in the past. And by the past, I mean just last month, he said he was going to quote-unquote replace the quote-unquote lousy Obamacare with his quote-unquote concepts of a plan. The Trump campaign's national press secretary said repealing Obamacare is not President Trump's policy position. Trump will make our healthcare system better by increasing transparency, promoting choice and competition, and expanding access to new affordable healthcare and insurance options. Still no word on how any of that will get done. But one thing Trump and his campaign must surely have learned by now is that their voters don't need to hear any details of how something will get done or even what will get done. They just like to complain, and they like to listen to Trump complain about the same things that they complain about. They think Obamacare sucks for whatever specific reason they think that. So it's enough for them that Trump also acknowledges that it sucks and that something needs to be done about it. The problem is that he is campaigning to be the person to do something about it. He tells them that he alone can solve their problems, but he seems unable to even identify what those problems are half the time. Anyway, this is a fun story to cover as millions of Americans have already voted. We're almost to election day, and that is it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.